Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Today we're talking the state of Call of Dragons at the end of the Rise of the Dragon. Okay, so at the time I'm recording this, we got a little bit more than 8 days left in our KVK. Nothing's over till it's over, but things are looking pretty good for my team here. Our allies, Pod, they're sort of the dark purple shell here. They sort of have the south and east of the dragon pretty well secured. Our other allies, SW, they're the yellow shell here. They got most of the left side secured. We're this other yellow shell, Eternal Ducks. We're building up on this column here. We'll touch the dragon pretty soon. And we've pushed back most of our adversaries pretty far off the dragon. This red shell here, this is SCL. You can see, they're still in the zone, fighting to push them back, but they're not touching the dragon. Kind of same thing with KOA. They're these blue shells down here. And the other alliance that we've been fighting all season, VKF, right? They fight like madmen. We've been fighting them pretty much nonstop since Zone 2 opened. They're still in the Dragon Zone, but, constant fighting against them. Hopefully we can secure the Dragon Zone before too long. But at least the Dragon is looking pretty good for my team. Okay, so what do I think about the Rise of the Dragon KVK? Honestly, not a big fan of it. This is the third time we've done this this scenario, I think, that I can remember. I hope it's the last time. These mechanics I'm not a huge fan of. This mechanic right here, it's okay. Raise of Remedy, I do like that. That's sort of like the Warlord buff you've seen in other seasons. No issues there. Dimensional Duel is one of the most, toxic mechanic there is. Now, you can see I've chosen it, and I do it plenty of times too. But this mechanic, this can go away and die in a fire for all I care. And Timeless Treasury, I'm not a big fan of Timeless Treasury. I use it because it's very powerful. You can see I have it maxed out here. That gives me an additional 4 million elixir every week, basically, provided that you have the merits. Some other stuff too, that's nice, but I've been fighting enough this KVK. Now, like I said, we've been fighting since the start of Zone 2. We went right, we were sort of between two enemies, so we went to our right Zone 2 against VKF. A lot of fierce fighting. They eventually pushed us out of that. And then this is our Zone 3 here. So we were fighting, we moved into Zone 3. So in this scenario, you get to sort of occupy your Zone 3 for a few days before the enemy moves in. So we moved into Zone 3, took the behemoths, set up defenses, and we were sandwiched on two sides. We fought hard, they fought hard, they eventually pushed us out. And so when the Dragon Zone opened, we were locked out of Dragon Zone. So it was a 3-on-2 for about the first day. We built as fast as we could to this gate. We entered the Dragon Zone. Thankfully, our allies, they fought like madmen. They were able to hold on and actually push off the enemy, even though it was a 2v3 scenario. Now, look, I'd like to think we played a role in that. I think we drained our enemies, in particular VKF, for all the fighting we did. At least I hope we did. But we were able to make it into the Dragon Zone. At least so far, it looks like we're going to take the Dragon. So I'm really proud of all the effort, the people put in this season. Really proud of our allies. They're great. It was a fun season overall. Honestly, I think it was more fighting than I would have liked. I would have liked a little bit less fighting this KVK, but, I had a great time. Okay, so what are my observations about the new hero pairs and sort of where the state of the game is now? Let's go through the new mages first. Cantaman and Varden here. You can see Varden, I have him pretty well developed, 6 stars, 5-2, 4-3. Still got some work for him. The daily deals on him just opened up. Haven't even got the new artifact yet. I'll correct that before too long. And then Cantaman here, really haven't worked on him at all. 5-1-1-1, only 5 stars. Gonna be a while before I get him up. Based on my observation of using these guys and all the reports that I've seen from other players about these guys, I think they are pretty strong if you have them together and if you develop them. My sort of opinion on these guys right now is they're sort of it's all or nothing. Go all in on Varden and Cantaman, and if you do, you'll get great results. But if you try to do it cheap, if you're free to play and these aren't your invest priority, I think you should skip them altogether, right? So this is really an all or nothing type of thing. I do think the Magic Fox is clearly the right pet for them. And like I said before, this is the build I recommend. Follow-up isn't amazing on these guys. Now look, we've been trying some rallies with these two, and the rallies work fine if you can keep them from being swarmed. And if you can keep them being swarmed, follow-up is a better choice. But in terms of open field, I think this is the better pair. This is the better build. And, like I said, these guys pretty good, kind of an all or nothing scenario. Of course, we also got a new magic pairing this season. That's with the upgrade of Selûne. If you are League of Order and your troops actually fly, Selûne is very strong. Maybe sort of on, approaching on par to Young Ming in terms of her ability. Like I said, she has to actually be flying. It's not simply with Celestials. Her entire march has to be flying. So this season, I've been using her with Bert. And the old Shadow Fade Drake I had, not amazing, but gets the job done. If I keep these guys together, if I keep playing League of Order, and we'll talk about that in another video, I might give these guys a Sapphire just for a little extra damage. But the Shadow Fade Drake works well, but you got to have all flying if you want Selûne to work well. Okay, what about the Rally Garrison fight? How has that changed? It's kind of interesting. Now, I'm in KVK 4, so, okay, there's 3 KVKs, above me, 3 KVKs with stronger players on average, higher spend accounts on average. So they might have a different experience. But what we've experienced in our KVK is your best garrison is Eleanor Kuma. And surprisingly, your best rally is still Laquan Kuma, all right? So Joran, sorry, I figured you'd be part of the new Rally Garrison meta. Right now, we're not using you at all as part of the Rally Garrison meta. Okay, and the interesting follow-on effect from that is the new pet, the Brimstone Auric. The Brimstone Auric skill really requires the parry mechanic, and the only hero that powers that is Joran. So because, the Brimstone Auric really relies on Joran, we're not using the Brimstone Auric in our Rally Garrison pairs, right? For the Rally, we're still using the Moss Rock. I know a lot of people like the Auric Warhound for the Rally. I think that's fine. I do think the Moss Rock is better, but I appreciate that people have different opinions about that one. The other thing is Laquan. He has such high skill damage that if you have a very good Moonbear, this is still viable with Laquan. For the Garrison, we definitely are going with the Moss Rock Auric. You can see I have a very strong one here. Performs extremely well. Getting good results on that. So kind of a surprising development, at least so far. We still have Kuma both in the Rally and the Garrison, and we have Joran in neither right now. Okay, what about DPS rallies? Now, like I mentioned before, I don't have these guys built out yet, but I've seen the G5 mages used a lot in rallies, and it seems to be pretty effective if you have them built out. Obviously, these guys are very susceptible to being swarmed, but if you can keep them safe, keep control of the battlefield, keep refilling that rally, I do think it's really powerful. I don't have built-out archers, but archer rallies are super strong, kind of the same thing. Particularly the G5 and G4 archers do great work, but are very susceptible to being rallied, so, be careful about that. And then for Cav, what I've been doing is I've been using Freya and Agnar. A lot of people keep telling me, hey, don't use Freya and Agnar, use Freya and Nea instead. Some people have suggested Freya and Tobin instead. I'm skeptical about that. Okay, I'm going to do some additional testing when we get to Home Kingdom. Tobin, I don't think is a great choice. I mean, maybe if you're worried about getting swarmed because he is more defensive, but I think he is inferior to the later generation heroes. Freya, I at least see the case for, but I do think if you have everything sort of maxed out, Freya and Agnar are your best pair. Like I said, I'll do some testing, Freya and Agnar versus Freya and Nea when I get to Home Kingdom. The one thing that really intrigues me about Freya is the rage generation mechanic. So if you have a long fight, she's going to get a rage skill a bunch more. Okay, that's interesting. Let's test that out. But right now, I am using Freya and Agnar as sort of my premium DPS rally. And man, it is doing work. I'm very impressed with it. Okay, so that was our season, right? Really, testing season. Or a lot of fun, a lot of work too. Super impressed with our allies. They did amazing. Super impressed with everyone in my alliance that gave it all this season. Thank you to those players. Honestly, super impressed with our adversaries, right? They gave us everything we could handle and more. Super competitive season. I think the matchup was excellent, and so I'll applaud the devs on that as well. All right. Hey, that's all I got for you today. And until next time, you stay classy, Belleron.